Congrats, Carrie. Nancy, tell her what she's won. Hi, good morning. Hi, everybody. 51 minutes after the hour. I hope you guys are doing well. Happy Friday, getting ready for the first full weekend here at the Kentucky State Fair. It's live there behind me. We'll take a closer look coming up in just a second. Hope you guys have had a good week. Congrats again to Carrie being first there on YouTube today. Blue almost made it. Morgan, you were close. You were indeed close. The YouTubers love to always compete. Okay, so as always, welcome everyone on the social media side. I won't go through the whole list again, although Wyatt's on here from Twitch. So hello, Wyatt. Thanks for watching. I hope you're doing well, my friend. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through the fall outlook. That's important. It's essential. I'm going to get you through the weekend, and we'll get into the slight adjustment that we have in the short term that we have for part of the weekend. I'll explain what that is looking like, and we'll obviously get into the long term, and then I'll be done. And I'll be done with bothering you all today. That way you all can get out and enjoy your Friday. All right, so we got plenty to talk about down the road, and trust me, next week we're going to be busy. We're going to be busy. So buckle up and hang tight. All right, so let's. Would you say, Stephanie, I'm here for the fall outlook? Yeah, me too. It arrives on time. That's the only thing that worries me. I think it will. At least we'll get some teases before it. But as I always say, when we get into a different season, there's an event, a front, low pressure. It's a season changer event. And those are the ones that I like, because once you cross over that event, then you're set into the new season that lies ahead of you. We just need that season changer to show up. It's obviously not there yet, way too early, but those are my favorite. When you get the season changer events in a 10-day, then you know you're set and you're good to go for until the next season. Okay, so 38 days and counting. It'll move here before long. I remember when this was like, 200 and something days when I first displayed it on the air, jokingly, as I was we're preparing to warm up, and I was like, oh, just hang tight. I think I even did the winter outlook, too, at that point. Winter got a little bit of ways away, but you guys know winter hardly ever arrives when it's supposed to. So that countdown, while it's fun to show, I don't show it as often, and it's my favorite season. Well, I take it back. Fall's my favorite. Winter is number 2. I don't show it as often because it just rarely shows up on time. So fall is one that typically does. It actually behaves itself. It's kind of odd. All right, here's the live look right now at New Albany. Well, the camera's in New Albany, looking downstream toward the Ohio River in Louisville. You can see the Clark Memorial Bridge there into the distance, and maybe even the Lincoln, if you look carefully, way down there, and the tops of the buildings as well. Very hazy this morning, right? A couple things we're going to be tracking today. The moisture is still around to where we can still get a downpour or two, but as we've been saying, the coverage and the intensity will just get less and less as each day evolves here, and that will be certainly true as we evolve into the weekend. So it's not a zero chance any day. You can't really do that with the heat down effect and just this much general humidity you got at play. It's hard to erase that 10% that may show up because it may be you. It may be you. And certainly we've seen it happen where it's been Louisville almost on a daily basis before because of the heat island. So just be aware of that. Today or yesterday's rainfall was very sparse in the northern fringe here of wave country. The cumulus clouds, yeah, they fired up quick, but they only produced a few drops. The better moisture across southern Kentucky, where you certainly needed it, was where you had the higher rain totals. But still, for those of you in Marion County, Greene and Taylor, I know that you're not in good shape right now. You're pretty dry, so you need more than what this even was. Even though estimates were close to an inch in Dairy County, you need more than that. So unfortunately, they're not looking at great odds the next few days. Now, fortunately, you are closer to the moisture being a little higher the more south you are than areas to the north, so maybe we could get a couple downpours. Right now, it is quiet. A lot of little glitches in the radars you always have in the morning hours as the sun rises there. It affects the beams. But you get the idea. There are at least some scattered clouds around. The cumulus should form again. There is a little bit more of a moisture plume, and this may be the trend for much of the weekend. It's something like this, kind of like a bell curve kind of look, but it's lining up along I-65, and that's basically where it will mainly stay for another day or so. So if there's anything that could pop, it looks to be roughly in that particular zone. But again, it's like yesterday. It's only one or two little pop-ups. Nothing to get too excited about. Majority of the moisture has been shoved down to the south and really disintegrating. This little low, boy, better hurry. Aaron's on the way, so it's trying to get out of the way. It's like, I don't want to have any part of this. None. I don't want to be part of the drama, so I'm leaving town. So this low pressure is leaving, at least trying to get out of Aaron's way. But obviously, it will likely get absorbed. It's so weak. When systems are larger like that, they take care of the little guy, basically, and absorb them. So this one doesn't really have much of a chance to stay around too much longer. But fairly quiet compared to what has been in the southeast corner of the country, which we need a break, certainly for I-24 area and Chattanooga, Tennessee. They need a break. It's been wild as of late there with those flooding events for sure. So let's look at the tropical moisture that we got at play. You know, past couple of days we were showing the blues across the area and the deep greens and the blues, indicating that very humid tropical air leading to flash flooding in a few cases in our area. But now you see we've really decreased that. It's just still going to be humid this weekend. Now there is a sign that we may get close to heat advisory level now for the latter half of the weekend and early next week. I mean, it's going to be that close. Although the Weather Service this year, they've also been issuing heat advisories just on repeated days of a minimum of 100 of a heat index several days in a row. I don't know if this heat wave will be long enough for them to make that kind of decision, but don't be surprised if that becomes the narrative and a heat advisory comes out. That's their call. I'm sure they're discussing it. I don't want you to get too caught up on advisory or not. Same rules apply. Limit your time outside, take it easy, take care of your pets, bring them inside. If you can't, make sure they have shade, fresh cold water, put ice cubes in it. Don't walk them in the hottest part of the days, yada, yada, yada. Important things, though, that I have to keep repeating because bad things keep happening when no one pays attention to those guidelines there for heat. So that's why we have to keep saying them. But at least overall, it will be fairly quiet, just hot this weekend. So if you got something planned outside, obviously the fair, great for it's air conditioned and the largest air conditioned fair in North America. So you have plenty of options inside to walk around the hottest part of the day, and then toward the late afternoon, evening, then you can venture out into the throwaway midway area and check out more of the food and the rides. It's balanced out that way nicely. I mean, you professionals at going to the fair know this already. You already got your plan mapped out because you probably do the same thing every year because that's what my family always did. The same route every year. Now, obviously, things have shifted a bit on placement at the fair, but the same idea has always been at play. And just use that guideline and you'll be just fine. All right, so let's go through the short term on Futurecast, and I'll get to your questions, I promise. And then the tropics is after this. Before I get into the long term for us, I will have the tropics after this weekend update. Okay, so if you're asking about tropics, hang tight, I will cover that because there are a couple of things out there. Today, interesting about this graph model, it's our in-house model. It's really decent on picking up on heat island effect thunderstorms. The only issue is it shows them every single day, which I'm not going to certainly make fun of here, because sometimes we do end up seeing a quick downpour every day. But look at the temperature. This is just an example. 3 o'clock today, it has a downpour near the airport. Temperature is down to 81. But look, as the downpour erodes away, we're back up to 92. So you can see why it would only be a very brief interruption if we even got a downpour. They're just too small. They don't stick around long enough, and the cumulus field today will not be as congested. So once you get rid of the downpour and the cloud, there is plenty of blue sky surrounding it. You'll go back in sun, and you just absolutely bake. And now you're going to bake with a very wet ground, or at least a wet ground, and that adds to that humid feel outside, right? So any interruption from the heat is going to be very brief, unfortunately, with any downpour, but we'll take it. Just be aware of any lightning potential. I think that's going to be pretty isolated overall, but it's possible with some of the taller ones. And we do the same thing again tomorrow. Here we go into Saturday, up to 89 degrees, thunderstorm forms, and, well, I cut it off, but then it drops again. Now you're looking at this and you're thinking, wait a minute. Now, Brian, as you're talking, Brian, and I'm trying to make my coffee and look out the window at the squirrel dancing around in the yard, I'm also noticing that there is something on your map that I didn't expect to see. And you'd be right. And that is an area of thunderstorms that forms along a front that briefly tilts before Aaron gets involved and tilts it back to the north again. And this, it's hard to even really call it a complex of storms because we don't know yet how strong the flow will be at the upper layers of the atmosphere. But at least a cluster of thunderstorms, I think that's fair, should be ongoing late Saturday night and early Sunday. Now, it will make a run to the south and east, but watch what happens as it does so. I'm going to animate this. Drops in. The rain just didn't make it because the air is very warm above our heads for this complex of storms. Now, there could be an outflow. There could be at least a period of clouds that may drop in, but it would literally just eat it alive, especially if it's an early morning ordeal. If you have it in the afternoon, boy, it'd be refreshing to get it. But unfortunately, the timing looks to be early enough that it wouldn't really matter. We will jump back in mid to upper 90s still that afternoon. I'm only mentioning this, that if you are in Indiana or around I-71, you may get some of that rain that could briefly survive early in the day before it falls apart. It's a minor ordeal, but in case you hear about warnings that are out or some type of a watch, it could, certainly get issued in the upper Midwest. I don't want you guys to worry. This is going to be a problem for us. Again, the air is quite warm above our heads, so it doesn't have a really good chance to do much other than throw some clouds our way. It's just one minor little blip there for the end of the weekend. Okay, and then after that, we just build the heat right back in, and mid to upper 90s we go. Yay, all the way into early next week. Any questions on the weekend setup? Tracy, chicken tenders are coming. Yes, they are. I am ready for that. Let's see. Whatever that lightning was, Ashley, was the other night was something else. Yeah, lightning has been just an issue all summer, right? I mean, everywhere. Cloud to ground lightning. You can attribute that to a lot to tropical air mass we've had this year. But yeah, the cloud to ground lightning's been rough. And a lot of people have been more outside, it seems like, this year than before because it has been so warm. So the more people that are out, the more exposure there's going to be to lightning, obviously. But yeah, we say that all the time, though. You hear it, get inside. Don't play around with that, even if it's sunny above your head. Travis, you should give us a sneak peek on the winter. Now, come on, Travis. $15, maybe. I'm just kidding. No, I will do, because we have Fair Day on Tuesday. Wave Day at the fair is Tuesday. I'll be out there at 1. I think Tawana will be out there early. Carson will be out there, I think, about the same time I'll be out there. Kevin will be out there when I'm out there. Ryan will be out there earlier. So we're all out there at some point during the day, but especially the midday, early afternoon is the best chance to catch us. If you're going to the State Fair on Tuesday in the South Wing, that's where usual spot we're at. Track us down, because after, especially for me anyway, when I get into the 3 o'clock, I'm going to be roaming everywhere, so I won't be at the booth as much, so I'll be harder to find. I'll be around. I'm sure I'll run into you. But anyone going to the fair on Tuesday, I just want to know if I can expect to see you so I can alert security. Just want to know if you're planning on going, give me a heads up. I would love to put some faces to the names if you're coming by the booth to say hello. All right, again, Tuesday is when we're out there, but it will be I think it's going to be like the hottest day too. The heat wave will be Tuesday. How fitting is that? But anyway, my point is, Travis, I'm going to try to do a preview to fall, not winter, fall. That will likely take place after I get past the fair. I need a little more time to work on that. Carrie says not going. Sean says, I can't work because it's the middle of the workday. Yeah, I miss it when we had it on Saturdays. There are rumors that we may go back to that next year, but I missed the Saturday. I thought it was a lot more fun to see you guys. Cameron, I haven't even read your comment yet, and I know it has something to do with severe weather a bit, right? Let's see. Do you see an active severe weather season this fall for the second severe weather season? We'll discuss that in the fall outlook. Easy answer right now, there's nothing alarming, but it wouldn't show up this early anyway. So not too surprising. Everyone looks good? Okay, everyone's fine. So let's go into the tropics real quick and give you guys an update on where we stand with Aaron, because Aaron is about to get an update. In fact, it may already be in. We'll see in a second. But it's right there. It was close to being a hurricane yesterday. Had a little bit of shear today. Full asymmetrical on it. So I don't know how it wouldn't be upgraded. So we'll see. What is interesting about the visible satellite here, and I'll zoom in, is that it's getting close enough now that the radar in Puerto Rico can now see the western side of it. So you're thinking, wait, where's the rain on the other part of it? It's just because the radar beam stops right here. We don't have radars in the ocean, which is a whole other issue, right? And tracking tropics, we only use satellites to get closer to land masses that have radar beams. But we're able to at least track the rain now moving in. But yeah, getting fully developed, a lot of thunderstorms near the center. Let me show you the infrared, and that really shows. Here's the center right there. And boy, you can really just see how the thunderstorms are filled in more and more around it. It's got a good outflow to it right now on the upper layers of the atmosphere. So it's got a tailpipe, just like our thunderstorms and MCSs. That is crucial to the survival of thunderstorms in general. You got to have the tailpipe, and this one's got one heck of a tailpipe. And let me run through the stats. I know they updated 11 a.m. I don't think this is 11 a.m. advisory, but it should be out here before long. Last check it was 70, so it's right up against going up to a hurricane status. Still forecast to move very close to the island chain here, as we are in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and then you get to the eastern Bahamas. Yeah, briefly is a Cat 4. Yikes. But that turn, still a present. Now this is going to be growing larger in size. So Bermuda may not get a direct hit, but boy, it'll feel something out of this for sure. And you got to keep in mind, these symbols, these dots, that's where the eye of the system would go. It's a lot larger than that, obviously. So impacts, even rain bands and tropical storm force winds may go as far west as all the way to maybe it should graze the Outer Banks, maybe even Myrtle Beach, but at least the Outer Banks should get grazed by tropical storm force winds as it grows in size, as it makes that turn. There's no doubt the beaches, though, yeah, you're not going to be able to swim in these waters, guys. Rip currents way too strong. A lot of the cruises, I'm sure, will have to deviate if they may have to cancel altogether, but you're not going to be able to swim in this kind of water and this much churning. This is a relatively shallow area of the ocean. So it doesn't take long to get those waves to really crash up there. But that turn is still showing up. And even the latest spaghetti plots, those little lines indicate other model ideas of its track, all agree more and more on that turn now. Very few of them, like the other day, were trying to hint that it would go a little more west. Yeah, that's pretty much out of the picture now. So why is that happening? Well, a lot of that has to do with our front that is dropping down Tuesday into Wednesday. It's all about timing of all these pieces, and Aaron was slow a bit, now it's speeding up, and now it's getting to about the same latitude as our front will be. That impacts timing as well, but the two are meeting up. But as I've mentioned, tropical systems, hurricanes, they don't like to deal with the fronts, all right? They don't want to go straight into a high pressure like that. They want to go into the least resistance area if they can. They will go ahead of a front if they're able to have enough time to do so, and they love to go around a high pressure, or if there's two of them, in between the two. And that's what this one is exactly going to do. So that's why it has a little bit more of a sharper turn, as there is a big low up here into eastern Canada that is going to force it to make that northeast turn even more. And it's in the westerly belt, too, as we talked about several times. But, hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is this? See that red L there? That's the other system that we're monitoring into the Gulf. This one is 98-L. Now, it's getting awful close to Texas, so I don't think it's going to get named. And it doesn't look as impressive as it did yesterday, to be honest. So it's running out of time here, but at least at the moment, the modeling brings it into Texas, but it stalls it out too over Texas, which could mean a big heavy rainmaker for San Antonio, San Angelo area again. So we'll be monitoring that, but that's kind of a mute point. Now there is another wave, maybe 2 or 3 more off the coast of Africa. In fact, one really healthy one that is showing up. Let me see if I can show you guys that real quick, and then I'll move on. Let's see if I have the right satellite up. I think I do. That I do think is still the one we got to watch for that track the other day I talked about that would, no, it's not the right satellite. Let me see if this one will do it. Oh, tight. It's a little better. A little bit better. Don't you love how you see the sun on the water, on the reflection? Isn't that cool? There's the sun right there shining on the water as it goes by. You can tell it's almost autumn, guys, because it's right there at the equator. Okay, a couple little waves here, but the thing is, with Aaron the way it's positioned, they will have to go more west for a while and then turn. And I think these do have a little bit more of a concern, in my opinion, to be a factor for the islands, maybe the Gulf, maybe the southeast corner of the country. And that would put us at the very end of August. And that is starting to show signs of throwing a wrench into some of the cooler attacks that I have been tracking for the end of August and September. These are going to be the X factor in that. So it's going to be a stressful outlook in the long term. I'll explain here in a few, but as always, these are always mess me up. Anyway, we'll see how that plays out when we get into next week. All right, so speaking of that, let's get into longer term. I'll show you the 10-day, and then we'll move on here. I'll get some of your questions. I just apologize if I'm missing anybody here. We'll start with the euro. Let's do that. The euro has the heat shield in a good place here, obviously, for the weekend. You see the hint there on the Sunday morning thunderstorms there. Again, the boundary's kind of slanted, and then it'll tilt east-west. So while it's slanted on Sunday, that may be enough to at least bring in the cirrus clouds that get ripped off the thunderstorms. I think that's more likely than the rain would be, but that will likely happen. And then the front starts to sink down. Hello, Aaron. Coming up the East Coast here. And again, so even swap at the latitude. So as it goes by, Aaron will move in, the front drops. Now, here's where things get a little wonky for next week. That is going to lead to some questions, because we see the shot of cooler air. Again, this is not the one cool shot of air that I think is going to be an impressive one, relatively speaking. It's just going to be cooler. And I'm talking 84 to 87, maybe 88. And you're like, oh, that's warm. I still sweat in that. You're right. But you got to keep in mind, we're going to be at like 97 with the heat index near 105 this weekend. So compared to that, it will feel cooler. All right. I know, I'm splitting hairs. But what's interesting about this is because the tail of Aaron, the way it is, I mean, this is a large system. As they go further north into latitude and they begin to weaken, their shield, their wind field, the rain shield, all just swell up, almost like when you throw in one of those little action figures in the cup and then they grew into a giant one. You remember that when you put them in water? It's like that kind of idea. They will swell up here. So as that happens and Aaron heads to the northeast, there is a chance that the tail portion here, which combines with our front that moves in next Tuesday night or Wednesday, may try to form some type of low pressure. And I'm not talking about a tropical storm here, but it may form some type of low. That is the only thing that may mess up a bit on the cool weather, is that this may get its act together, and that could influence even next weekend. We'll see. It's still early. The ink's still wet on the paper on this one, but we'll see how it happens. You can see the cool air, though, is within reach. There it is. There's that blue showing up. So it's just a matter of the right system to be able to time out and get it pulled down here. And I think that's when we get more into September. Very end of the month, September, things get a little more interesting. I don't think we're done with the heat. I don't think we're done with the 90s. I'll let you know when I feel more confident that that is over, but yeah, I'm not saying it yet. All right, let's get to the 10-day. Run that down real fast. 93 today, and then mid to upper 90s this weekend with the front timing roughly Wednesday. It's fair. I think we'll probably get through much of daytime Tuesday without any worries, but it won't be long after the day ends Tuesday that we'll probably have something that we'll try to approach. And then there's that drop that'll happen, and then just a modest build back up in the heat again until we figure out if a low is going to form on that front. And if that indeed happens, then next weekend's rain chance will actually trend back up again. Okay. Jeremy, will the multiple fronts coming in the coming weeks prevent tropical systems from making landfall in the Gulf or vice versa? Yes. Now, these fronts have been stalling roughly at I-40, so it can help us. It may help the northeast part of the country, but it doesn't necessarily fully protect the Gulf and Florida and the island chain. They could still influence, and you just get into a very sharp turn or even get absorbed briefly into the front as they make that turn. So not entirely out of the woods, but you're right. You got the right thinking. The timing of the fronts and these tropical waves, it's all just a game. And right now it's just too far out in time. There's too many moving parts, and the models are all over the place. So we got to get closer and get the speed of each one of those pieces and all of it. We got to look at Canada. We got to keep an eye on even the Gulf. We got to keep an eye off the coast of Africa, the Central Atlantic. We have to monitor all those pieces. And if one of them is off, then we're like, uh-oh, that means the other piece that we're watching is also likely going to be off track. So then we have to redraw everything again and redesign the 10-day, and that's how things just keep evolving every day. We try not to make those changes very abrupt, obviously. You see it very slowly happen on the blog here, but that's how the discussions are happening behind the scenes in the weather office when we see these patterns. All right, everyone stay cool? Yep, everyone stay cool. Carrie, will there be blogs next week at the fair? Probably not the blog. I'm not sure yet, Carrie, especially Tuesday. I mean, it's only one day, but maybe I'll try to do one out there live, maybe. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, to be honest, but I may be out. I may be too busy. The Farmer's Almanac is out for winter. Yeah, I did see that. It's always fun to look at. Normally I post it, but people get so worked up when I post it in a negative way. I'm like, oh, come on. But you know what it's saying. I mean, it always says snow here, so I'm not too worried about it. AA Ron, $15 for some color weather. If you have your Kroger Plus card, then we'll talk. TikTok Live, maybe Sean, maybe able to do that. Okay, all right, I'm going to end it there, guys. Appreciate it. I didn't realize how late it was already getting, but it's always fun talking to y'all. So I can talk forever. I'm jealous that Carson gets so much time with y'all on the weekends. I would love to talk to y'all. I never get that long of a period of time. But he'll be here this weekend. As always the case, to guide you guys through the storms and any changes in the extended, and we'll just take it one step at a time. One more question I want to mention, yes, about the Frymire forecast. I can't remember when it's soon, Renee. They email me when they are ready. So I wait for that, and then when it's emailed, then we're ready to go. All right, guys, have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. I know it's going to be hot outside. And try to stay cool the best you can. And I'll be back coming up on midday at 11 a.m. All right, see you guys.